Welcome back to the Old History YouTube channel, part of the Old History social media project. Today's video is unlike one I've done on the channel yet. It's really just a storytelling style video from an elderly person. It's about Mr. Dean Miller, who's 91 years old at the time of this video, and this is just some stuff that he remembers from when he was young. Stuff that might not be known now in Hamblen County, just school stories from the past. So, this was shot inside of a Cracker Barrel because it was cold and rainy outside, and we had intended to go to the park. I'd had a whole slew of questions I was going to ask him, let him tell the stories. I had the whole thing planned. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way, but I'm happy with the end product. Now, it was shot inside of a Cracker Barrel during, we was going to do a lunch and then learn, and then a video. But once we sat down, he just started going with the stories. I turned on my camera and let him roll. You hear me ask a few questions, but not too many. And also, you'll hear him bounce back between stories, I guess getting warmed up, you know, thoughts placed in other places, and that sort of thing. But it's okay. I like the video. So before we continue on, if somebody doesn't like loud noises, it's shot inside of a Cracker Barrel, lots of background chatter from other people, there's nothing I can do about that. If you don't like it, just go ahead and shut the video off right now and don't continue. Move on to the next one that I've made. So this video is going to have to be uploaded in parts because it is so large. There's about 2 hours worth of stuff that I've shot on this. So just hope you enjoy, and give me a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Alright, so we got a couple questions for you. When you were little, do you ever remember anybody talking specifically about stories they might have heard from the Civil War? Like somebody's grandpa's uncle or brother, sister, or something like that?
Oh yeah, I've heard my grandmother talk about it, and quite a bit on it. Her mother told her mostly of it. But one of them, and I'm trying to recall because it kind of slipped my mind now, is either one of the Fullers or one of the McGee's was not involved much in combat. That was Robert McGee. He was a major in the Confederates, and they moved down in Dodge City, Texas, and he's buried down there, and there's some relatives. I dug it up on the internet at one time, but I never did have a chance to follow up on it. I've got a letter there somewhere in the, well, my name was kind of balled up on me. But anyway, there was a Yankee group came down through there up to Joe Anderson place or the Fuller place, which was close to each other. And they had a guy riding on a cannon. Yankees did. They caught him and was taking him somewhere. And of course everybody went out to see him go by, and he had worked for either the Fullers or the McGee's. I don't know. This is with my mind. So he goes by. He used to call whoever the McGee or the Fuller was Captain. That was his nickname, you know, for it. And he went by, and they was all standing looking at him, and he waved at him and said, "They got me, Captain." And I remember grandmother telling me, said, the leader of the Union cop, he wheeled right around and come up there and pulled his gun on him. He thought that he was the captain in the Confederates, you know. So anyway, the guy told him, said, no, said he's not in the military. He used to work for him, and everybody called him Captain, so it went on. But, Earlene said something I meant to tell her about it. She said as far as she knew, and looking in the background, that there was no slave owners in the family, but there was. And it had to have been on the Thompson side because Grandmother McGee told me that one of them, whoever it was, they had twin daughters, and they gave each one of them a black girl maid. They were slaves. And the thing of it was, 60 years later, there was an article in the paper, the Knoxville paper there, one of these slaves, and I put it in, and it turned out to be one of the slaves that they gave to this Thompson girl. But I lost the damn paper, and I never could follow up. I put it up, and it got gone, But it would have been interesting to follow it up on that.
Oh, yeah.
But I recall a tale that Grandma McGee's mother, who was the Thompson, told her about they had quite a few slaves on the farm there, and they had bought, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them somewhere, and brought in there and put them to work out in the field, and they were plowing. And said there was a thunderstorm came up, and lightning and raining, and whoever it was that bought the slave, the Thompson or whoever, hollered at them and said, "Come on," without all 6 or 8 of them working in the field. Said, "Come on, get in out of the storm." Coming in. The new slave that they had bought that, he couldn't understand it. He said, "Lord," said, "my last master said we plowed with water running in the furrows. He's never let us come out of the field during storms and things." And that's one of those little things stuck in your mind, when I was a kid. But I don't recall any details on it. But I recall many tales about he said they had to get up during the night and go hide their horses and everything. What was it they called those ones that rebels, not the Confederates, but
Another soda?
Nothing.
Would you like a little more coffee when I come back? Yes, ma'am.
bush raiders or something. There's people out, outlaw bunches. They'd come and steal the horses and cattle. And she said they'd have to get up during the night and take their horses and whatever they had in the deep woods and hide them. I can't recall the name. It didn't call them bush rangers. What did they call them? I can't recall them now. But it was the...
Just finished up, but it's going to be very hot again. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome.
If you didn't ask me, I could have told you too.
Huh?
If you didn't ask me, I could have told you too.
Yeah,
Wasn't trying to think about it.
Yeah, that devil was that. I have these senior moments, these things just pass away, you know. But I can recall a lot of those things. And about what was the old woman's name that used to sleep in the fence corners and everything? But she died over there somewhere. She didn't live, and she lived out of a suitcase and would travel the country and stay with people overnight or sleep in the fifth row. Hell was her name. I know it well. I know that because I found the place. There used to be a corner up over there in the woods that my brother and I sold later on, where I think it was where she stayed or where she died. I don't remember. I don't think it's her name that far. But when I was a kid, I used to hear Grandma, Mother McGee, talk about a lot of those things. When you're little or young, a lot of people don't think you have ears.
You was probably wanting to go out and play or something somewhere.
I've heard things I wouldn't want our leaders to know about at all. And about telling the talk and McGee's grandpa's family married Thompson, came from Virginia, but other than that, I don't know the background or anything on it.
So, next question here. This one comes from Joe. Joe asked this question. What do you know about the old kitchen school that sits there on the old road? What do you know about the old kitchen school? Bing Kitchen School. Sits there not too far off from Barton Springs.
That doesn't ring any bells for some reason.
Well, y'all might have called it something else. It's Davy Crockett went to that school.
The old Crockett House, I remember it very well. But it was in Morristown down there, and it was rebuilt there at one time. But I know very little about those things. One reason I said I'd like to have another detector and go around up through there. Cousin May, in the last years of her life, she began to draw closer because his mother and us was the only family she had left. And she stayed by herself up there, and about twice every summer, she'd get Wilson Carpenter to bring her down the house on Sunday, and she'd spend the day. And it'd take her about a half an hour to get used to talking again, I guess. And then she'd talk and talk and talk and talk. I recall one time she came down there a couple of 3 years before she died, and she said that, she said, I got to looking around through some papers and things that I hadn't looked at since Claude was alive. She said, I found 3 $20 gold pieces he'd used as bookmarks. Said, I'll take a look around and see what else we find. So I don't know what's going on. But Claude Jr., the one I told you about, spent time to read. I recall her telling about this to Cousin May. He got involved in a lawsuit as a witness. Somebody sued somebody else or something or other, and he was a witness, and he was called to testify. He got up there and testified, and the opposing lawyer to the other side didn't like him because it was contrary to what he was going to do. So he got up and said he didn't believe any of it, that it was a lie. Claude Jr. got up, walked over to him, and knocked him flat on the floor and laid him out and put out in front of the judge. The judge fined Claude Jr. $20 contempt of court doing that. Cousin May tells that Claude got up, walked to the judge and pulled his wallet out and pulled 2 $20 bills out and laid them up. He said, here's my fine and another 20, and if he calls me a liar again, I'll knock him down again. That was the way they were, that old house up there, I love that old house.
Said them bookshelves were 14 foot high off the ground. I'd love to have seen them bookshelves though. Stacked all the way around the wall.
That dog, I'll tell you about that little dog. Before Jan and I was married, I was married previously. And I came out of the Army, January '57, and our family lived up in Greenville. She wanted to go see them because we hadn't been home
Just peeking at coffees.
in a couple of. And I thought about Cousin May living alone up there. And it's 3-4 months before she died later, I suppose. And I said, I want to go by to see Cousin May. And I told her about it. And the first part about it. She said, all right. So I stopped and bought something. I don't recall whether it was candies or Cousin May was way up in her 80s then. The house, I don't know how it looks now, but we used to have a big yard with a big fence around it. And you parked there and opened the gate, walked up to the house, the porch of that. And she didn't, first of all, she didn't know anything about it, never even heard of it, because we'd never talked particularly about it. Anyway, I pulled up, and I got what it was and pulled up. And opened the gate and we started in. That little dog run out on the back porch and barking and going on. If I'd been by myself, I would have thought it was just a memory, recollection. Cousin May came out on the porch there and she said, go away, Joe, go back now. He shoot him back in the house. And I thought, and she didn't remember me at that time because it'd been 2 years. And I told her finally, I said who I was, and she remembered me and wanted to come in. And I told her no, I didn't have time, but I wanted to bring her something for Christmas. And that little old dog running around. Anyway, I left and went on. We spent that evening, that weekend up in Greenville. I came back and I thought my mother's. Well, my mother was there and my oldest brother and his wife, Mary Lynn. So we were talking and I told her about this dog and everybody got quiet. Mother and Mary Lynn were all looked around and said, she doesn't have a dog. Yeah, she got a dog. And my first part, she said, yeah, he came run down on the porch and she shushed him in. Mary Lynn, my sister-in-law, she said, she doesn't have one. Her life died over a year ago. And she told Wilson Carter not to get another. She's getting too old. And she never got another. I saw the damn dog. Both of us saw the dog. And Mary said, I proved it. She picked up the phone and called Carter family. And handed me the phone, and I said something to Wilson. Wilson said, I buried the dog a year ago. Said she hasn't had one. But that dog, we both saw it, and he was barking just like that. You can figure it out, I don't. Oh, you never know about it. There's lots of things in life you don't understand, and things, and I've often figured that house up there, if there were ghosts around anywhere, it would be. And that because of the back history and Gene being killed up there. Civil War itself, I know very little about it. And there was a Major Robert McGee, who was one of the Civil War, and I'm sure there were others that I don't recall, what particular role they played in it or anything.